Distinguished guests, UN colleagues and friends, it is a true pleasure to be with you today and to join eminent women parliamentarians from across the Arab states in this dialogue. I wish to thank our partners from ESQA, the League of Arab States, and the collaboration with UNICEF on this important event, which is so critical in reviewing the implementation of the blueprint for the advancement of women's rights 30 years on. 1995, this is the year when historically 189 member states adopted the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action, still one of the most progressive documents we see to advance women's rights. Its implementation is reviewed every 5 years, and together with civil society, the private sector, we remain committed to the document's vision and actions, which are still some of the most progressive in the world, as I said before, and are also very much owned by governments who we also partner with in this endeavor. We see commitments on technology, climate change, ending violence against women, all still critical priorities 30 years on. With the high levels of violence, we see still a sign of the subordinated role of women in society and the discrimination against them. We saw the spike of violence during COVID-19 as a clear sign of the ongoing epidemic of violence that still exists. We also see progress, of course. 5 years ago, the review of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action noted 3 key things, amongst others. We saw an increased number of women in political positions, and particularly in those not traditionally held by women, such as trade and industry, planning, economic development, defense, foreign affairs, and as speakers of the House. We saw an increase in the response to women, peace and security issues with the adoption of national action plans on Security Council Resolution 1325. And we see an increased endorsement of national targets to advance and support women in the world of work, including through social protection measures, paternity leave, maternity leave, and many more measures that were passed. Yet, comparatively, across the region, the Arab states remains one of the lowest regions in the world on the gender indices, such as defined in the 2023 Global Gender Gap Report of the World Economic Forum. Consequently, the Arab states identified key accelerators to advance gender equality and women's empowerment on international fora, the Commission on the Status of Women, and also as a result of the Beijing +25 reviews. These include a continued need to strengthen and harmonize legislative reforms to address discrimination against women and girls, including to address violence. Ensure women's access to leadership positions remains vital in both the public and the private sector, including as members of the judiciary. And the importance was underscored of supporting women's economic empowerment, including in the digital world. Coupled with all of this is, of course, the need for sufficient financing for action. This is a critical priority also discussed at the Commission on the Status of Women. It is commendable that up to 2023, the region has adopted 39 legal texts contributing to improving women and girls' situations, from constitutional amendments to new laws and amendments to presidential decrees, leading to the progress in implementing of the Beijing Platform for Action. This was since Beijing +25. It is nonetheless critically important to remain vigilant to the setbacks to progress made, and hence the monitoring of the Beijing Platform for Action is paramount to its success. We see the ongoing devastating conflicts continuing in this region, and they continue to take precious lives of women, men, and children, and they also represent often a regression on advancement made on women's rights. We also see the effects of climate change, water scarcity, and pushback on inclusive governance affecting progress. COVID-19 taught us we must look at health issues through the lens of the needs of both men and women, boys and girls. So critical to this meeting today is for us to reflect on what the Beijing Platform for Action asks us to do, and what successes we have seen in the last years, but also what else needs to happen. And this is an important opportunity for parliamentary representatives not only to discuss your role in contributing to the implementation of the Beijing Platform for Action and the national reporting process, but also to identify measures to advance legislation that contributes to accelerating the implementation of the priorities mentioned in the Beijing Platform for Action in the next few years. Without doubt, gender mainstreaming and targeted gender legislation builds a concrete pathway to effective implementation of the Beijing Declaration for the whole of society. Laws, needless to say, can push boundaries. Their implementation with sufficient financing is paramount. In economic empowerment, in advancing safety and security, and in new areas such as artificial intelligence, online violence against women, and climate change, for example. Parliamentary action, as I said, must include agreements on financing, and I underscore this. It's critical where action is agreed to that funding and financing follows. Otherwise, the achievements will not be made, and women's rights will not be achieved. UN Women is committed to working with you on this, of course, and really having fruitful discussions with you here today through our colleagues that remain in the room. I wish you fruitful interactions, and I thank you for your commitment and your time. Thank you.